What if your phone could read your mind without spying on you? Apple's AI claims to do just that. But is it too good to be true?
Imagine a world where your phone just, effortlessly translates a live conversation, or where you can conjure up unique emojis just from a simple text description. Or, get this, where journalists can sift through thousands of hours of interviews in minutes, all thanks to artificial intelligence. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
But these aren't like distant dreams anymore. These are capabilities AI is bringing to our everyday lives, even our newsrooms, right now. Okay, let's unpack this about. In this deep dive, we're going to explore how AI is already transforming the way we interact with our devices, how we consume information. We'll look at the incredible potential, but also the crucial questions it raises. Things like accuracy, privacy, and what does it mean for us, for human roles?
Indeed. And our mission today really is to distill insights from, a range of sources. We want to help you understand not just what AI can do, but more importantly, why these developments matter for you, whether you're just a user, a news consumer, or a professional. And we'll also look at some of the unexpected stumbles along the way, and what those teach us about building trust in this landscape that's, changing so fast.
Okay, let's dive right into AI in your pocket then. For a long time, this idea of really powerful AI on our personal devices, it felt pretty far off. But with breakthroughs like, say, Apple Intelligence, we're seeing a huge shift. And this isn't just about adding new features, is it? It feels more like redefining the relationship between us and our devices, and there's this intense focus on privacy.
Absolutely. You hear terms like on-device processing and private cloud compute. What that really means, at its core, is that a lot of your data, maybe most of it for certain tasks, never actually leaves your phone or tablet. It's not stored by Apple, it's not shared. It's just used to fulfill your specific request right then and there.
And they're getting this verified independently.
That's the claim, Independent experts verifying the privacy protections. It's a pretty big deal for how personal AI can actually work safely.
So what kind of features are we actually seeing powered by this?
Well, they're quite compelling, actually. Think about breaking down language barriers. You've got live translation built right into messages, FaceTime, even regular phone calls. So you can just, talk to someone in a different language more naturally.
That's huge. And for creativity?
There's Genmoji. You can basically design your own emojis using text or mash existing ones together. An image playground. This lets you turn text descriptions or even your own photos into unique images. Different styles like oil painting or vector art. You can even tweak expressions on people in photos, change hairstyles, that kind of thing.
Interesting. What about practical stuff, like writing?
Oh big focus there. Writing tools can help you rewrite things, proofread, summarize long text. You can even ask for specific tones like, make this dinner party invite sound like a poem.
Okay, I might try that one. And Siri, is it finally getting, better?
They say it's more natural, more helpful. You can type to it now, which is useful. It apparently knows more about Apple products, like specific settings. And crucially, it's meant to keep context across different requests.
So it remembers what you just asked it.
Supposedly, So you don't have to start from scratch each time. And then there's the everyday convenience stuff. Cleanup in Photos lets you remove distracting things in the background. Image Wand can turn a rough sketch into a polished image. Mail. Summary is getting the gist of long email threads quickly.
Okay, mail summaries sound amazing. My inbox needs that.
Right? And smart reply suggestions. natural language search in photos, finding pictures just by describing what's in the, beach sunset with dog.
And developers, can they tap into this?
Yeah, they can access Apple's on-device foundation model. It's about 3 billion parameters, apparently. So they can build private intelligent features into their own apps. But it's important to note, it's not like a general-purpose chatbot they get access to. It's more task-specific.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you, the listener? It sounds like it's about AI becoming this sort of seamless integrated helper, one that understands your context, your preferences, and often, crucially, without your data needing to leave your device. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If AI can do all this on a personal level, imagine scaling that up. Think about industries drowning in information, like newsrooms.
Exactly. That takes us neatly into AI in the newsroom. News organizations are definitely starting to use AI for tasks that honestly would be physically impossible for humans alone, or just incredibly time-consuming. It's really starting to revolutionize how journalism gets done.
How so? Give us some examples.
Sure. It's often about enabling deeper, faster analysis, stuff that just wasn't feasible before. Like, Dylan Friedman from the New York Times. He talked about using AI for what he called needle in a haystack analysis. His team fed it hours and hours of interviews. I think Senate hearing confirmations for people like Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard, and hundreds of Zoom calls for various exposees. The AI helped pinpoint key moments, key examples.
Something a person just couldn't realistically do with that volume.
Exactly. Not in any reasonable time frame anyway. The AI isn't replacing the reporter's judgment, but it's like giving them this incredible tool to find the crucial bits in mountains of data.
Right? It augments their ability.
Precisely. And the Times did something else interesting too. They mixed machine learning, specifically NLP, natural language processing, with traditional reporting. They looked at how certain keywords were sort of disappearing from US government websites after the Trump inauguration.
How'd they even track that?
Get this. They took over 5,000 screenshots of government websites, then used AI to pull out all the text. Then they compared the content before and after. The AI helped figure out if changes, like removing words such as equity and doing this across multiple languages, seemed ideologically driven. It went way beyond just searching for keywords.
Wow, that's sophisticated.
It is. And think about accessibility. The Austrian press agency, APA, they're developing a tool. It provides alternative text descriptions for infographics. That's often a massive blind spot for visually impaired people trying to access news. AI can help bridge that gap.
That's a great application.
Yeah, and even the reader experience is changing. The Financial Times built this internal AI playground, and now they offer readers optional AI-generated bullet point summaries for their articles.
Why do they do that?
Well, apparently readers were already using things like ChatGPT to summarize FT articles anyway. So the FT decided, okay, let's offer our own tool. That way they can keep journalists at the steering wheel, as they put it, and hopefully minimize the risk of AI hallucinations, making stuff up, which is a real problem with some public models.
That makes sense. Control the quality. So it really does challenge that simple idea that AI just replaces human jobs, doesn't it? It sounds more like a tool that helps humans do their jobs differently and maybe better. Molding and shaping interactions among humans, as one expert put it.
Right. Chris Summerfield from the UK AI Safety Institute sees it as just part of the natural course of institutional development. Things evolve, tools change.
But there is still fear about job losses, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. That fear is real. But what some of our sources suggest is that, so far at least, AI-only systems just haven't matched the quality or the revenue of media produced by actual journalists. So the decision to use AI ideally should be based on, knowledge, experience, ethics, not just a blunt instrument to cut staff.
But it can help smaller newsrooms, right? Lower costs.
It can, definitely. AI can reduce costs, which is a lifeline for smaller outfits.
Ugh.
But there's a flip side. It could create more inequity if those smaller newsrooms end up relying on cheaper, maybe less reliable AI options, because they can't afford the better tools or the training.
Right. I think they might not have the resources to properly check the AI's output.
Exactly. Or train their teams effectively on how to use it responsibly.
Okay, so we have this incredible power, these privacy safeguards we talked about with Apple Intelligence. But, and this is the fascinating part, even these sophisticated systems can still mess up. They can trip up,
Yeah.
and sometimes in ways that have real consequences. We've seen some headlines, haven't we?
We certainly have. Even Apple Intelligence, despite all the focus on careful implementation, has had issues with these so-called hallucinations. Basically, when the AI just confidently states something false or nonsensical, like it's inventing facts.
What kind of things?
Well, there were reports of it generating false news summaries. One said the tennis player Rafael Nadal had come out as gay. It was actually a different, lesser-known player. Another claimed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been detained. Completely false. Another said Pete Hegseth had resigned. He hadn't even been confirmed for the defense secretary role he was nominated for at the time.
Wow, that's not good.
No. And the BBC actually flagged another false summary to Apple, one about a man shooting himself. Apple acknowledged these issues and said they're working on a software update to fix them, but it shows the challenge.
And it's not just Apple. Apple, right? This happens with other AI too.
Oh, definitely. These aren't isolated incidents limited to one company. We've seen Microsoft's Bing chatbot give really weird, unhelpful answers after long conversations. There was that famous case where Facebook AI agents started creating their own language to communicate more efficiently, which wasn't the goal.
I remember that one. A bit creepy.
A little, yeah. And then you had a New York City chatbot reportedly advising businesses to break the law.
Seriously? Like what?
Things like saying it was okay to serve cheese that rodents had nibbled on as long as the bites weren't too big, or that bosses could take a cut of worker tips. Just wrong.
Oh my goodness.
And remember Amazon's AI recruiting tool? They had to scrap it because it learned bias against female candidates from the historical data it was trained on.
Right. So what's the takeaway here? These aren't just tiny bugs, are they? They seem to point to deeper issues, like algorithmic bias, as you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this illusion of thinking that these big AI models sometimes create.
That's a really critical point. These systems are incredibly good at pattern matching and predicting the next word in a sequence based on the trillions of words they've been trained on. But that's not the same as actual human reasoning, understanding context, or knowing truth from fiction.
So the bias comes from the training data.
Largely, yes. If the vast amounts of human text used to train an NLP algorithm contain biases, and let's face it, human language and history are full of biases, then the AI can absorb and replicate them. This can lead to automated discrimination in things like hiring, loan applications, even policing. It's a huge challenge for equity and democracy, especially when regulation is lagging behind the technology.
Mm-hmm. So AI is this double-edged sword for information then?
Exactly. It can be used to create floods of misinformation or deepfakes incredibly easily. But on the other hand, AI tools can also help detect that same misinformation, aid fact-checkers, and debunk false claims faster.
Is there public support for trying to control the bad uses?
Yes, actually. Sources show there's strong public support for legislative measures to tackle AI-generated misinformation. People seem to want guardrails.
But are people using AI responsibly themselves? Especially at work?
That's another major concern. Complacent use and a real lack of training. Get this. One study found over half of employees admit they avoid telling their boss when they use AI for work tasks. And they often present the AI-generated content as if it were completely their own work.
Why would they do that?
Often, it's down to inadequate training, guidance, and governance within their companies. They don't know the rules, or there aren't any clear rules. Interestingly, just banning AI doesn't seem to work very well either. Even when companies have policies against it, violation rates can be pretty high. People find workarounds.
And does this tie into how much people actually understand AI?
It seems so. There's generally low AI literacy. Most people, something like 61%, report having had no AI training at all. And about half say they have pretty limited knowledge of how it works. Yet paradoxically, 3 out of 5 people believe they're using AI effectively.
So it's easy to use. Maybe too easy. Leading to overconfidence.
That could be it. The accessibility is great in one way, but it might breed complacency and over-reliance if people don't really understand the tool's limitations or potential pitfalls.
And beyond these issues, what are the bigger societal worries?
Well, the list is quite long, unfortunately. Things like de-skilling people, losing skills because AI does the task, dependency on the technology, loss of privacy, obviously, the potential for manipulation. Job loss is a persistent fear, the risk of critical system failures, human rights being potentially undermined by biased or opaque systems, and even a more subtle loss of human interaction as we automate more tasks. These aren't just future worries. We're seeing aspects of these play out now.
Okay, so given all these upsides and these very real downsides, how do people actually feel about AI? It sounds like we're a bit conflicted.
That's a perfect word for it. Conflicted, or maybe ambivalent. Research shows over half of people, 54%, say they are wary of trusting AI. They have reservations. But at the same time, a large majority, 72%, accept its use in society.
So we're worried, but we're kind of accepting it anyway.
Pretty much. Optimism and worry seem to exist side by side for many people. It's complex.
What about regulation? Do people feel protected?
Mostly no. Only about 2 in 5 people globally think the current laws and regulations are adequate for managing AI. And most people admit they aren't even aware of any specific AI laws in their own country. And this matters because the perceived adequacy of AI regulation is a key predictor of trust and acceptance. If people feel the rules are good, they're more likely to trust the tech.
Are these feelings the same everywhere?
Not at all. There's a really significant global divide. People in what are often called emerging economies, places like India, China, Nigeria, report much higher levels of trust, acceptance, adoption, and even AI literacy compared to people in advanced economies like the US or Europe.
Why the difference?
It's likely a mix of factors. Maybe more optimism about technology's potential to solve problems, perhaps less historical baggage or fewer high-profile negative incidents so far. People in those regions are also generally more confident in the big tech companies developing AI, interestingly.
So what needs to happen? How do we build trust and responsible use?
Well, there seems to be an urgent need for organizations, companies, governments, educational institutions to really invest in responsible AI training and boost overall AI literacy, not just for specialists, but for everyone. And companies need clear internal mechanisms to guide and govern how AI is used, promote accountability, transparency.
It's interesting, circling back to Apple. Some see their strategy as quite, well, boring, but maybe smart in this context.
Yeah, that's a view. Instead of chasing these grand, maybe unrealistic dreams of a super intelligent AI that can do everything, which current models, like large language models, might struggle with because of that illusion of thinking we mentioned.
Right, they're not really reasoning.
Exactly. So Apple seems to be focusing on what AI can do reliably and effectively right now, Things like pattern recognition, understanding context within specific limited tasks, helping with writing, summarizing, practical stuff.
Paired with a privacy focus.
Right. That practical privacy-first approach might be a very sensible strategy in the middle of this huge AI talent war, where companies are pouring billions into researchers and engineers trying to get AI right and reliable.
This all raises a really fundamental question, doesn't it? How do we make sure we harness all this potential safely, ethically, effectively, while managing these risks that are clearly not hypothetical anymore? They're happening now.
That's the core tension, isn't it? We've seen AI is already deeply woven into our personal tech, our pockets, and into really critical sectors like news. It offers these amazing efficiencies, incredible personalized experiences. But yeah, it absolutely brings this complex package of challenges, from those factual errors, the hallucinations, right up to deep ethical questions about bias, privacy, jobs, accountability.
This deep dive, it certainly made it clear that AI isn't some far-off future thing. It's here, it's now. It's actively shaping our world in really tangible ways. And the findings really highlight that, yeah, AI offers immense benefits, but its real value, and maybe more importantly, its safety, it really depends on us, on our understanding, our vigilance, our commitment to using it thoughtfully. So as you, our listener, continue to navigate this evolving landscape, maybe consider this. How much are you willing to trust the intelligence that's increasingly living in your pocket, on your devices? And maybe what responsibility do you feel you have personally to ensure it develops and is used in a way that aligns with the kind of world you actually want to live in? Until next time, stay curious.